I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up
and we established Coffee and Tea Academy in Hong Kong 20 years ago.
Who has the right to judge the beans? And I would like to say that who has the right to judge the
We
beans?
raised several so-called scientific factors or scientific parameters, and I find out most of them are pseudoscience. Pseudoscience.
Who has the right to issue you certificate and qualify you and certify you?
That means that it's misleading concept and misleading parameter, and that is very harmful
And who qualify and certify that party to certify you? And nobody answered me until today. Okay? And I find out in third world developing country, they are facing problem is they don't have enough money to have a piece of paper to certify them.
Welcome back for the afternoon session. And this session will be plenary discussion one. We also have Mr. Yuen, Chairman, Specialty Coffee Association of Hong Kong.
The funny thing is, nobody asking so-called certifier and who certify them to certify you. Is that correct? Correct? Okay. So,
thank you, Taye. As you know, as usual, the moderators, one of the responsibilities.
I was questioning is who has the right to judge your beans and who has the right to issue certificates. And the problem is, several people asking the question is, who certified the certifier to certify you? Is that correct? Is that correct?
And better. So if it's a simple case of that, then what is required for the farmer to achieve that?
And also, they raise several so-called scientific factors or scientific parameters. And I find
now
out
we head
most
to
of them
Ethiopia,
are
home of Arabic coffee.
pseudo-science.
The country recently held
I think it's
hosted the
finance.
Fourth
Welcome
World
back
Coffee
from
Conference, bringing
a wonderful
together
coffee
farmers,
session.
buyers, and policymakers.
That was quick
It
and
was
just to the point.
That means a misleading concept, a misleading parameter. And that is very harmful disaster to coffee industry.
An agricultural economist from Ethiopia. Please give him a round of applause as he ends to say.
That means the new generation, the new business players in this industry will follow this misleading parameter.
CEO of Early Cafe, Mr. Giuseppe Lavazza.
So the whole game, when you settle the contract, that will raise a lot of problems.
Markets in the future. You can also tell us your views from the early cafe perspective, but in a broader.
The problem is argument. Because like the water in Ethiopia, I've been traveling around some places here. If you're cupping your coffee in local water and with the water in someone else in the world, it's absolutely different. Teaching you are cupping and so-called kill your coffee. But each person, human being, our mouth, biochemical reaction from morning, noontime to afternoon and nighttime is different. So we use a pH test paper into our tongue. From morning 9 a.m. and noontime and afternoon and nighttime is different. It's very different. So how to make all super so complicated and charge you a lot of money with a piece of paper? And that is blocking the developing country to develop your coffee industry. I hope you agree with me, is that right? And the country market, what is?
Just starting from the first dimension we have to address is channel and segmentation. Three big categories: in-home consumption, away from home consumption, service, and value.
My question goes to Mr. Lavazza and Eli. Thanks to gentlemen from Nestle, how they are implementing and supporting in Ethiopia and other developing countries. So what plan do you have to support? Because you mentioned about the trends in consumption. When it comes to economics of this coffee, really it's not working. The demand and consumption economics is not working in coffee sector, because not only when consumption goes, or the price is determined by demand and the supply. That's the pure economics, but it's not working, because we are experiencing in Ethiopia the the problem of productivity, not because of the price only, because other issues which you mentioned about the climate and other issues as well. So do you have any plan to support productivity in Ethiopia? Thank you.
Dos aspectos. Una es que yo considero que siempre que se hable en los diferentes foros sobre sostenibilidad, es sumamente necesario que se incluya el tema de la sostenibilidad económica de los productores. Y segundo, en cuanto a las certificaciones, he hablado mucho de certificaciones y yo lanzo una interrogante. ¿Quién ha sido el más ganador con las diversas certificaciones? Porque en nuestro país el sentir de los productores es que el pago adicional no compensa los costos que los productores tienen para implementar esas certificaciones. Entonces, ¿quién ha sido el más ganador? La industria, que reconoce un pago adicional, pero tiene a cambio un factor a su favor. La compañía certificadora o el productor, ¿verdad? Porque en realidad los productores no sentimos que las diversas certificaciones que existen hayan sido un factor remunerador que compense ese costo adicional que se tiene. Muchas gracias.
The supply is too much. That means the consumption is very, very low when we see the supply. So this is a problem, really. So there is supply is too much, the consumption is there. And when do you think that the supply and the demand will be balancing, or when do you think that the consumption will outpass the supply? Thank you. Let me bring it back to the table, and maybe I'll give a chance to each one. I'll first start from this side. But
Yes, I do really agree with you about the coffee agriculture farming technique. And not many people were aware of that. Even Chinese, they don't aware of that. Since 5,000 years ago, China started farming. And when we apply the coffee farming technology with 5,000 years experience, not many people know about it.
Actual samples need to match. Communicate. Just let them know where you are in the process. And focus on quality and always strive to beat your own standards every year to other thing is, we'll start with the women and get a comment from the chair of the IWCA Ethiopia. Welcome, madam.
And our problems are where we really hinder us behind. Because if you did something wrong, or if you did something bad, you will suffer the consequence. We didn't really maintain the brand of our...
Reading the discussion on generational change. So, Kipari, what's your 2 words on bringing the youth on board?
Thank you for to stay in agriculture. Who is going to be the farmer of the future in Ethiopia? It's a very important question. What are the drivers for young people to want to stay and farm coffee in Ethiopia? And I would say there is a lot that has to do with quality coffee, because quality engages young minds more than just delivering a coffee cherry, picking a cherry and delivering a raw product. But actually, what is a way to really engage innovation and value addition down to the farm level?
Ethiopia is unique in that the youth are already engaged into the coffee sector, from my point of view. Of course, there's more we could do. And we need to ask ourselves the big question of how to attract or how to get into the new market. When I look around, I see a number of what I call the Ethiopian specialty coffee players in this room. And some of the items that have been mentioned by the speakers here needs an answer from ourselves as Ethiopian and as the African coffee sector. So one, we talk to Matad now. Matad Aman, could you tell us 2 aspects that you use to get into the US market? Matad.
That was a surprise. I was daydreaming, I'm sorry. It's simple. Just why Matad is successful is because of the hard work of its employees.
If you could give us your insight, we'll be quite happy to see how to move there.
Yes, we gone into the Asian market, and the leading locomotive is China. But nowadays, the definition we call Greater China market means Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, and Macau, and Southeast Asian Chinese. And not many people are aware of that. And overseas Chinese, almost 80 million outside of China, okay? And Hong Kong is a small city, only 7 million, but Hong Kong is one of the top 4 financial banking centers in the world. And one thing is very interesting is they're coming, the giant market for the coffee industry, obviously in Asia, and one of the major roles is China. And today, I don't bring any lovely, attractive photo in front of you in a big screen. I would like to have interactive with you. I would like to have your opinion and your questions regarding how you penetrate the Asia and China market. And very interesting, the paper is 3 years ago I used here in ICO conference here. And still today, I bumped to several old friends here, and they asking me the same question: is their problem when they want to penetrate into China market? But nowadays, I can tell you it's more easier channel for you to penetrate into China market. I mean, Greater China market, including Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Southeast Asian Chinese communities. And the problem is, today, why are we sitting here? Not only for drink up and good Ethiopian coffee, we come here for business, for money. And how we access to the payment platform. And we established Coffee and Tea Academy in Hong Kong 20 years ago. And because we would like to build the whole coffee industry in a healthy way, if you don't have professional players in this industry, and it would be very funny how to settle the deals. And every year, time go by, and we find out it's very funny is
like in ICO conference 3 years ago here, I was raising a question, just like several gentlemen mentioned about it, the certifications. And I was questioning is who has the right to judge your beans and who has the right to issue a certificate. And the problem is, several people asking the question is, who certified the certifier to certify you? Is that correct? Is that correct? And also, they raise several so-called scientific factor or scientific parameter. And I find out most of them are pseudoscience. Pseudoscience. That means a misleading concept, a misleading parameter. And that is very harmful disaster to coffee industry. That means the new generation, the new business players in this industry will follow this misleading parameter. So the whole game, when you settle the contract, that will raise a lot of problems. The problem is argument. Because like the water in Ethiopia, I've been traveling around some places here. If you're cupping your coffee in local water and with the water in someone else in the world, it's absolutely different. Okay, when they're teaching you a cupping and so-called kill your coffee, but each person, human being, our mouth, biochemical reaction from morning, noontime to afternoon and nighttime is different. So we use a pH test paper into our tongue. From morning 9 a.m. and noontime and afternoon and nighttime is different. That's very simple. So how can make all super things so complicated and charge you a lot of money with a piece of paper? And that is blocking the developing country to develop your coffee industry. I hope you agree with me. Is that right? And the coffee market, what we have a platform in Hong Kong is building the coffee tea exchange. We based on Chinese currency, renminbi. Maybe you heard about it. And because the US dollar exercising, implement QE system, quantitative easing. That means inflation is coming up very high, then your coffee price jump up very high suddenly. But actually, if inflation high, the purchasing power not that is so high. Okay. And also, the Chinese currency is based on the gold standard. The central bank sitting a pile of gold. But when you trade in Hong Kong, you can use either Hong Kong dollar or Chinese currency. Okay? So whatever we base on Chinese currency, we keep it stable because it's based on gold standard. That means your coffee is packed and linked with gold. Your coffee is gold. No more just a normal agricultural product ignored by somebody else. And also, important is when you trade in Hong Kong, once you based on Chinese currency, so we can stabilize your coffee price in long-term basis, more stable. And because Chinese currency is a member of SDR, you got idea SDR, correct? Okay, that means convertible currency in IMF. Then the problem is, nowadays, so many people not really pay attention to the new trend of your payment. Because Chinese currency, you don't need a letter of credit. You can settle by your mobile phone, by the e-payment. Okay? That means when you settle your 1 container to your 1,000 container, and you can settle by e-payment in Hong Kong. And you can receive your money e-payment in Ethiopia or in Africa. It's very efficient and fully transparency. And one thing you have to really focus on, last few months ago, the Chinese president, very encouraging import high quality deluxe item into China market. That is fully supported by Chinese central government and Chinese president. And that means once you have very high quality product, including coffee, deluxe item, very highly welcome, penetrating to China market. And recently, 3 months ago, 99% of the presidents from Africa were in China, invited by the China government, have a big summit there. That means open the door, welcome you all kind of your good quality product and your cultural commodity into the China market. And before, what I heard from most of the African traders here, my old friends here, they told me the trading problem, the blockage and the duty, but most of the duty now is almost erased. And how you get the payment, as you said, even when I walk in this hall, several old French gentlemen told me that they have several problems about the payment. That's why I raised this interactive reaction with you, is you can ask me any question regarding how you face the difficulty challenge into the China market about the payment. Because finally, at the end of the day, when you ship out your product, you need to pay. And also, one thing is branding your coffee. The best thing is using your culture is the best branding element. Okay, in giant continent in America, each different region have different culture. That is the best essential factor and element to branding your coffee. I really appreciate the gentleman mentioned about the branding, because without branding, you cannot pricing up your coffee and label as a deluxe item. But the quality control must be on your own culture. Based on your own culture, to branding your coffee and branding your standards. And that's what I really want to say today. And I welcome you to ask me any kind of question related to these topics. And I thank you. Thank you.
You got that message right?
هتكسر أنا هتكسر عم زيك أفيل مالك
Yeah, of course. The baby. Okay, so yeah, we had a
yes. So Mario Chakotay already knows that you are more that you would like to use your partner. And as I told you before,
Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, welcome back from a wonderful coffee session. That was quick and just to the point. And we're just about to commence our afternoon session, which will be moderated and chaired by Dr. Douglas Tanya.
And the link of these issues, I think, are not only for drilling, but I think we'll